I'm done with World of Warcraft. I quit. I don't know where to begin with World of Warcraft. I genuinely don't. Do I start by talking about the gameplay mechanics and then go into this expansion's completely unnecessary unique system? That's the Covenant system and the Soulbind stuff. Do I talk about Warcraft and why it's charming as a world, or do I talk about Blizzard, the company that has been habitually disappointing me ever since I started paying attention? That was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. All of these are topics worth talking about, but I think the best place to start is chores. When I was a kid, I would sometimes get a list of chores to do, and sometimes I'd get a reward for finishing the list, like money. But that wasn't the primary reason I completed the list. The primary reason I did it was because if I didn't, my mom would yell at me. Well, in World of Warcraft, your raid leader yells at you because you didn't do your chores this week. You didn't do Torghast. Now I have some self-respect, so if some mongoloid on the internet starts some shit with me, I'm gonna tell him to fuck off. If I ever start streaming, what you're gonna see in the chat logs is me arguing with the stupid people you meet while online gaming. But it's time for me to admit something. I haven't raided since Legion. And even then I didn't do a lot of it. People always say that the best content in WoW is the raids and dungeons. To me there has always been something really off about that. Why in an MMO is the best content PvE? Why is the best content a collective of 25 or something people where only one of them speaks? And it's mostly him taking on the role of Simon from the game Simon Says. Simon says move to the right. Simon says blue. Simon says green. Simon says activate bloodlust. Simon says don't stand in the fire, you fucking subhuman. I have problems with authority. This might be a flaw to you. It certainly was a flaw to the Icelandic school system. But I hate when people tell me what to do. I hate it. If I didn't let the overworked teacher who took an honorable and thankless job who's one bad day away from a mental breakdown tell me what to do, why would I let Melvin, the chronic masturbator, tell me what to do? Why would I choose to spend my time doing chores, aka grinding? The World of Warcraft developers keep giving you systems to grind instead of content to play. In order to play the game the way I want optimally, I will have to grind out all of these systems to get to the good part. Why can't I just stick to the good part? Why is there even a good part instead of a good game? This is a point of personal preference, but raiding is only fun for me for a few times. I don't like doing the same exact thing over and over again. No, I don't want to do the exact same raid over and over again for 6 months to a year. And that goes double for the dungeons. What can I say? I like to be engaged a little. And no matter how good PvE is, it's never gonna get close to being as engaging to me as a good PvP experience. And by the way, dungeons and raids should not take 6 months to a year to make, especially for a huge company like Activision Blizzard. New PvE content needs to come out faster to remain interesting. This of course applies to PvP too, but I think PvP survives longer without new content. But anyway, the dungeons, I hate them now. I start hating them really quick with every expansion, because unfortunately they are always the most optimal way to level up alts. So they become a boring chore I have to get through in order to play the real game. This happened faster for Shadowlands because my god are they boring. The dungeons are boring because the world design in Shadowlands is so incredibly boring. I can describe every zone in Shadowlands with a color. There's red for Revendreth, blue for Ardenweald, a wider blue for Bastion, and Maldraxxus is green or yellow, whatever, who cares. The Maw is grey, which is apt because it's so boring. Oribos is like brown. Oribos doesn't really matter since it's just an airport. Who the hell had the idiotic idea to start separating the zones like this? Why was Battle for Azeroth split into 2 main zones? I mean, at least that had some lore behind it. But why was it only on these 2 disconnected islands and then later another 2 disconnected islands, instead of a continent where a battle could actually happen? Why in an MMO would you make your new zones 6 detached husks of land? This is a really good example of why Classic is better than retail, and yeah, I'll get to that, but in Classic I will always remember the journey of rolling a Night Elf and then walking to Stormwind. The world appeared to be so huge because it took so long to get there, and you saw all these dangers that would beat the shit out of you if you got too close. And you thought to yourself, one day I will come back and make all of you pay. But in Shadowlands it's just, hey, taxi! And it all seems so small because it is a small, concentrated piece of land floating around in nothing. If we are walking around in the afterlife, I would like to think it's a lot bigger than 5 fucking islands and a cloud. You know how when you die normally in the game, like when you die in Azeroth and you release your spirit, and it's like, whoa, I'm in the spooky ghost realm now. Why in Shadowlands isn't there more of that? Why isn't there more of the spooky ghost realm? There was that one time in the intro questline where you went through the spooky ghost river in the Maw. Why isn't the Maw just more of the spooky ghost stuff? It would be so much more interesting going through a zone that basically says to you, oh yeah, this is death. If you stay here too long, you will die. Your body will be torn apart by the death energy. With the Maw, I'm just saying there was an opportunity to make a zone that is kinda scary, a zone that is different, a zone that is interesting. Instead it's a zone that's just like any other, except it's annoying because we can't use our mounts. I guess it has spooky ghost rivers around and whatever, but I don't know. I guess I expected a little more from the afterlife of World of Warcraft. I guess I expected a little more from one of the biggest companies in gaming. Then the other zones, they all just have this one thing to them. Like Bastion is the Angel Zone. Maldraxxus is the Undead Warrior Man Zone. Ardenweald is where you go yiff yourself. And then there's the Vampire Zone. You know, when I thought of the Nathrezim, I used to think more purple and nefarious, but whatever. I guess this is a good place as any to talk about Torghast. I was so excited for Torghast, but then I played it twice and I was bored with it. I think the reason for it is just a Torghast run takes too long, and it's essentially a solo dungeon, and I don't really like the dungeons anymore, so I won't like Torghast. Even just writing about Torghast makes me bored. I love roguelikes. They're such a fun gameplay loop. How did Blizzard manage to screw that up so bad? How did they make that game loop so bad in World of Warcraft? Well, in normal roguelikes, when you finish a run, you win or you die, and you go back to the home area with a reward from your run. And that reward will make your next run easier, and you will get further ahead, and you get through what you finished faster. That doesn't actually happen in World of Warcraft. In normal roguelikes, it is almost an immediate reward. But in World of Warcraft, the reward might take days or weeks. And the runs won't really get shorter. If anything, they might get longer. To close out the world design, I'll just say this. These new zones will never be as interesting to me as any zone in the Eastern Kingdoms or Kalimdor. And there are so many reasons for that. Lore, my attachment to them from Warcraft 3, and the books I read. But the one I think is the most important is simplicity. Sometimes less is more, and I think one of the best examples of this is the Barrens. It was this big zone with a couple hills, but otherwise just a lot of flat places with some animals, maybe a tree and a little pond. And there were always players there talking because it covered a pretty huge chunk of the leveling process for hordes. But it feels more realistic and more like home kinda. Like if you drive on the countryside you'd see something similar. But the Barrens are open and give you more space for your own adventure. These new zones are so cluttered, it feels like I'm wading through a swamp. There are so many obstacles and it's just a hassle to get to where I want to go. Every 10 steps I take I see this new theme park attraction. Hi, welcome to Ardenville. Step to your right please and look at those things there. Those are the Gorm. I want you to go kill them, each and every one. The children too. Okay. No, wait, you can't leave. You have to sit through my 5-minute monologue about why you need to kill them, and also some background about some things happening in the zone. Oh, okay, I guess I will alt-tab to YouTube then. With the new questing and almost everything you do in the game, I feel like I'm fighting someone else's battle, and I'm rarely ever doing something just for me. PvP is the only part gameplay-wise that I love. It gets me excited, it engages me. But they drop the ball so hard with PvP. How the fuck are there only 11 battlegrounds in the game after 17 years? And why aren't there more interesting battlegrounds? Why haven't you experimented with a MOBA battleground? Why don't you try some more new stuff with the epic battlegrounds? Why don't you bring the stuff from epic battlegrounds over to the normal ones? Why don't you make an actual Warcraft mode, where we defend our buildings from the enemy and we also siege the enemy buildings, and maybe there are some AI running around attacking the enemy base, kinda like a MOBA. The lack of maps and the lack of interesting stuff in them is ridiculous, and Blizzard shouldn't get away with that. But if Blizzard did make something new or interesting, then they would have to balance it. Which they probably won't do. I mean, look at Wintergrasp. Defense always wins. But even then, it's still one of the most fun things in the game for me. Blizzard keeps doing esports with its games. Why would they drop the ball so hard with PvP then? Really? You want your MMO esports to be focused on arenas and Mythic Plus? I mean, sure, it's nice to have occasional small matches, but this is an MMO. Your focus should be on these huge matches with loads of people, you know, massive multiplayer online matches. So far, I have enjoyed PvP more in Battle for Azeroth than I have in Shadowlands. Because going into Nashjatar with War Mode on was just a massive battle. And I was really hyped up about it, and I was like, wow, yeah, this is what an MMO should be. I never had that moment in Shadowlands, but I didn't even want to be in any zone long enough to see if anything like that was going on. But there is something I fundamentally dislike with Shadowlands PvP, and that is the idea of 1-shotting, 2-shotting, or 3-shotting. In an MMO, I highly disagree with the idea of the fights being that short, and it makes you feel so weak and worthless on the receiving end. And it leads to these shorter, less tense fights. However, there are sometimes moments where I'm fighting a druid and the guy just will not die, and that is really frustrating. So there is a balance that needs to be found between too long and too short, which I feel like isn't really here in Shadowlands. By the way, why isn't it viable for me to level up an alt using PvP? Right now it will take too long. Why can't I progress the Threads of Fate thing with PvP? Why do I have to play either the dungeons or the boring open world content? Why do I need to be grouped up for rated PvP? There is almost nothing in the game that guides me into developing friendships in the game. Most of World of Warcraft is optimized to be done solo, so you never really have a reason to group up and therefore never develop connections or groups for rated PvP. Sure, I could find a group for PvP with that rate finder tool or whatever, but that's a little hard when everyone just looks at your item level or whatever other Chinese social credit score this game comes up with. Free Hong Kong, by the way. So yeah, rated PvP needs solo queue, and I look forward to seeing it implemented in 10 years. World of Warcraft Classic, aka World of Boosts. Classic is great for that sense of adventure and actually having to cooperate with others. But what started happening is that everyone just gets boosted through dungeons, or they party up with a mage and he just kills everything for you. So Classic isn't the vanilla adventure experience anymore because players have optimized the fun out of the game. And yeah, the paid boosts. Of course the boosts ruin Classic. It takes players out of most of the game world and straight into the end game, which leads to a more empty, dead world. And Blizzard are putting this microtransaction bullshit into Classic, which I would be fine with if the game wasn't subscription based. It makes me not want to play this game and it makes me not want to pay. Why am I paying $15 a month if the game has freemium bullshit in it anyway? And yeah, it was so super nice of Blizzard to change the prepaid game time to 2 months and taking all the other options away, because I kept getting confused. I didn't know which one to pick, so I'm really grateful that they narrowed it down for me. And oh yeah, it's so awesome to see €25 fucking mounts. Are you kidding me? If you buy this shit, you are a sucker. You are too stupid to be allowed to handle your own finances. €25 for something no one will care about, and you will only care about for a maximum of 3 hours, and it gives you no in-game benefits. You know what I remember from Classic? I don't remember any of the fucking dungeons, but what I do remember is when I grouped up with random people for the Echo Isles. I remember leveling in Redridge and grouping up with Cumslumper 3435, and we were taking on a hard quest mob, and it took us 4 tries, and on that 4th one we were so hyped to kill him. I never really have that with retail. So in my opinion, Blizzard killed Classic by introducing their money boost, and the players killed Classic with their boost. The mindset that the end game is the real game killed Classic. The story. I do not and have never cared at all about this cosmic bullshit. I've had this realization that I have the most fun with a game or a TV show in its early stages. You know, the start of the adventure. It's exciting, you don't know what you're gonna get. With World of Warcraft at this point you know exactly what you're gonna get. There's gonna be a big evil Emperor Umut Bajul, and you're gonna kill him. And the Horde and the Alliance will say, "It's good that we stopped fighting each other to kill that thing, let's never fight again anymore." Okay. But then the next expansion they say, "But okay, we will fight a little bit." World of Warcraft has gotten so far off the rails into fucking space that there's barely any relatable story anymore. And this expansion has really just been watching your favorite characters dance on strings. My favorite part of Warcraft lore is the Guardian of Tirisfal. From like the invasion of Azeroth to somewhere around vanilla, when it was actually a fantasy world instead of all this sci-fi bullshit. I think the best stories are there, and none of them are in World of Warcraft. They are in the books and the RTS games. When it comes to World of Warcraft making story, they peaked with Wrath of the Lich King. And everything after that has been a desperate attempt to emulate that, and they have all been mediocre at best. You should quit too. In my opinion, the only way this game will ever become something better is if you quit. You quit the game, unsubscribe, and you send Blizzard a message that you won't play a game that gets minimal effort, that the developers seem to close their ears so that they won't have to hear what the players want, and when they finally do listen it's 5 years later. I want to play World of Warcraft, but this isn't World of Warcraft anymore, it's World of Systems and I don't want to play it. Instead, I will spend my time on games that I actually enjoy, and look for more enjoyable games and fresh experiences. But I haven't given up on the MMO genre. The next MMO I'm gonna try is the Elder Scrolls Online. It just got a new expansion, so there's probably a lot to catch up on. I will make a video on ESO eventually, but MMOs take time. So subscribe if you wanna eventually see what I think of the Elder Scrolls. In the meantime, I will also make videos on lots of other games. I've been playing a lot of Subnautica Below Zero, so I'll probably make a video on that soon. You know what? Typing all this out makes me feel a huge relief that World of Warcraft is behind me. The future looks bright. I hope you make the same choice.